Welcome to the Dave Palma Show, the podcast that revives, restores, and awakens your innermost capabilities.
You have the training and the talent to succeed, but do you have the guts to fail?
I love what I do. When you love what you do, you want to be the best at it.
Today is about the power of you. You will change the world.
Find your path to success through the journey of those who have succeeded. And now, your host, Dave Palma.
Hi, welcome back to the Dave Palma Show. And with me in this episode, I have the CEO of Mindquest Global Group, which is she's also a professional certified coach with the International Coaching Federation and organizational coach with the Institute of Executive Coaching and Leadership. Kasia Gurgul, welcome to the Dave Palma Show.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, pleased to have you here, Kasia. Yeah, so you're a certified International Coaching Federation coach, which obviously is the kind of, well, if it ever gets regulated, it will be probably the regulating body, really. It is the, the coaching body of internationally, isn't it, really? So,
yeah. Well, with any growing industry, there's always that beginning phase. And so I feel good to have some ethics behind that because it helps clients to feel more confident.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I got more involved with personal training as in, I was more involved with the fitness side of things initially, but then I turned more into coaching and mindsets and stuff like that. Yeah. But of course, that was on top of what I was doing because I was an athlete as well as a firefighter. So you need that. You need to overcome stress. You need to deal with your career, which is something you do, leadership and things like that. So coaching and mentoring was also a big thing of mine as well. So of course, they had different. We've got here like something called the Institute of Leadership and Management, which involves coaching, mentoring and things like that. So, yeah, there's various
origins, right? So the sporting field, the mindset in athletics is extremely important, right? So that's where the origin, of course, I'm sure, is from, right?
Yeah, it's where coaching first originated from. I think it was a Formula One racing driver that invented the goal.
You're right.
That's right. Yeah. So the grow model, not gold. Yeah. So these sort of things. That's it. Yeah. So basically, business coaching became the next big thing, and most ex-sports people, because it's a short career for most people, either have a business, and I mean, a lot of firefighters have a second job or are very entrepreneurial and actually become quite successful. So that is a kind of very linked thing anyway in the business area. And I think your coaching probably is quite a lot to do with business and executive coaching and things like that. Am I right?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's really focused on leadership and getting higher quality results, through engagement, through the skill set that leaders need today in this environment, because it's a very different environment than it used to be in terms of being able to have to navigate, many more changes and unpredictable markets, etc. So to be able to tackle that, we really have to have very agile responses and to be able to help people move through those changes quite quickly. So to me, the leadership approach that we have to take is often a coaching approach, which is something that I've been helping leaders with for the past 10 years now. And it's been a work in progress, still continuing on and enjoying very much because I see the difference that it makes both for the leaders as well as for the people that work for them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So we're going to go into certain areas that you do coaching. So one area that you do deal with, obviously, you see that there is a bit of a shortfall with women getting involved with coaching. But of course, your coaching involves, people from all areas, really, both genders. And of course, you are the CEO of the company Mindquest, which obviously we'd like to delve into more into what you do there as well. But tell us more about the coaching and why it is that women aren't represented as much or take it on as much.
Well, certainly in executive coaching, it's because there are fewer women in executive roles. And so often executive coaching is offered through the organizations and paid by the organization. So, it's just as a result of that, quite simply. Now it's starting to change a little bit, and there are also programs for, succession planning and talent development that are starting to reach more women, and especially in management roles. It's starting to go into, management and professional development as well, not just executive development. But that is the key reason. And I find with the male clients that I work with, usually their programs are paid by their company, whereas the women that I work with have to pay for their own programs. And so, there ends up being a divide that only the people that can afford to invest or decide to invest in coaching are aware of it, because there's that awareness that has to come into play first. That if they've never really come across it before, and many people still don't really understand that difference between coaching and mentoring, then they wouldn't choose to invest, right? And, I think it's partly education and also being able to offer women that opportunity to grow through having one-on-one coaching in terms of their leadership development, because it can start at much earlier levels, right? To be able to develop that skill set. They don't have to be in a management or executive role, and then have much more impact. And we, patients, much better results, much better outcomes. And it's needed for innovation to take place. And at the moment, a lot of countries, a lot of economies are suffering due to a lack of innovation. Same with some of the largest companies in the world who used to have that top status and be 100% secure in what they're doing, are suffering from a lack of innovation. And so we really need that diversity of thought to be happening in companies and in business to be able to create new opportunities for everyone.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, that's quite a lot to get into there. Well, I suppose it seems like it could be. I mean, when I got involved in coaching and looked at even the ICF coaching courses, it's actually very expensive, which means that the coaches will charge a lot as well, because obviously, you charge for the quality of coaching you're going to get, obviously. Yeah. So it's a catch-22 situation, because it's almost like, the paycheck's not going to be as high for women unless they're up higher, and you're going to get up higher with the coaching and everything else. You get the support, which obviously seems to be favouring men by the looks of things, which I don't want to go into that politics of that sort of thing.
Either, but it's just about the facts, right? And just discussing the facts of what can change, what can be different, and also, just those choices that it's even a choice to invest, because often it is actually a tax deductible expense because it's considered professional development, just as if you were to attend a course, where most people think of going to a course, but don't necessarily think of working with a coach one-on-one. And it often tends to be more effective because it's easier to implement and have that practice and, be able to discuss things along the way. Whereas we know that often with a one-off workshop or course, people struggle to implement and might only implement maybe 20% of what they learn and then forget everything, right? As most likely. So certainly it's happened to me where I've attended programs and then you just get busy and you don't have a chance to really implement what you learn.
Well, that's the key, really, is the continuity of it, and actually knowing, all right, okay, I've got this information, I need to absorb it and practice it, bite chunks, and stuff like that, really. So that's where the mentoring comes in as well, and having a one-on-one to guide you through the information you received at, say, workshops and stuff like that. But yeah, it's good you say about tax deductible, because obviously you can also deduct your fares, So for me, if it's an air flight to a workshop or something like that, seminar, that can be included, could be included, the food, lunch and everything. So that's where
I don't know what it's like in the UK there, but I think it's also
it's similar.
People are in the world, right? It's good to check that with a tax professional, but certainly
of course,
here,
in
the States and Australia, because I'm a dual citizen, my clients are able to deduct those expenses. So it's
where in Australia?
Yes, I was living in Australia for 15 years and working across Asia Pacific for 6 years. And so while I was there, I did manage to get an Aussie passport as well.
Oh, okay. So you haven't got a US passport, you got an Aussie passport then?
I don't have a US passport. I have a Canadian. passed
Oh,
away.
Canadian. Oh, you're Canadian, right? Sorry. Okay, yeah, I did. I fell in that mistake again.
That's okay. I do work a lot with clients in the U.S. because, of course, the U.S. has a much larger population than we do here in Canada.
Same in the UK as well. It's very small compared to. Yeah, it's one state, isn't it? Really,
Yeah.
but although Canada is probably the same land mass in terms of their size, but population wise, yeah. But you have more of a UK influence, obviously. In fact, I think you celebrate the Queen more than we do, actually. There and a few other things, and Australia don't actually. The royal family, celebrate them as much, but they're more of a kind of Commonwealth, whereas Canadians can be sucked in more like Americans, which is why I made that mistake, really. They do baseball, basketball, and stuff like that, ice hockey, and that's kind of ties in with some of the US stuff. Anyway, let's not go into there. We're talking about coaching here. Oh, by the way, where did you live in Australia anyway? Is it Sydney?
Yes, in Sydney, in
Right.
Manly, which is a suburb just about half an hour by ferry from Sydney downtown.
Yeah, I know. I used to get that ferry all the time. I stayed in a place called Potts Point.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
very,
Yeah,
very,
it's
very,
beautiful. I miss
very,
it very much. I still
yeah.
wish I
Well, if
actually had a dream last night that I was moving out of there, which happened a few years ago, but
it's a long
oddly
time
enough.
ago. It's a long time ago I was there, and the house prices were extremely low, and now it's gone the opposite way. It's one of the most expensive cities in the world. But yeah, I used to walk across that park to Sydney Opera House and get the ferry a lot to Manly, get the bus to Palm Beach. It's quite nice and relaxing, actually.
Yeah.
So,
And it's a good point. I mean, the cost of living is going up everywhere. I was just in Krakow, where I was born, and for a coffee, it's about $7 now, which is more expensive than in Canada. So things are changing quite significantly in many places around the world, which is why it's so important to be able to navigate through some of these challenges, efficiently and to be effective, because these days it's a bigger impact if we don't manage to navigate if we don't manage to see those opportunities, because it's easier to fall through the cracks with the kind of world we are in now.
absolutely. And certainly after the pandemic, or even during the pandemic, people could probably have done with a personal coach. Everyone could have done with one, whether it's for self-care or for pivoting their career moves and things like that. Tell me what was going on there when you was with your coaching.
I was extremely busy during the pandemic.
I can imagine, yeah.
And it was mostly focused on coaching leaders how to lead remotely, of course, because at that time it wasn't something that many leaders were used to yet.
Yeah.
And actually, it was my focus because I came from global organizations and working in a matrix style organization. I was helping a lot of regional leaders and global leaders to lead remotely. So they were, coming from a country manager role to take on Asia Pacific or EMEA, and having to work across different cultures, having to be able to understand what's happening. And at the beginning, it really was a challenge for a lot of leaders to lead remotely, to understand what they need to do differently, right? Because so many managers were still used to managing by seeing someone do stuff, just walk over any time, and that changed. So especially for leaders who were in their 60s and their 50s, had a harder time adjusting to that initially. And we were talking about how to handle that, how to lead more by results, and to really be able to have those coaching conversations to understand what's happening without micromanaging.
No, that's right. Yeah.
And to get them, to be able to be effective in their role.
No, absolutely. I mean, I got busy obviously with my podcast, and I am actually a coach on more the as I say, came from the sports and fitness and well-being and etc. I mean, I was an ex-firefighter, but I'm retired, so it's like that was the area. But really, I mean, most of the kind of real top coaching goes on with executive and leadership coaching, which is what you do, isn't it?
Yes. Well, certainly it's still big in the sports arena, right?
Yeah, it's still big in the sports. If you're a big professional name and then go into sports, or you just happen to be really, really talented at what you do and get the results for the team or for the individual athlete, then yeah, that will happen. I actually don't coach sports itself. I mean, I just went from personal training to personal coaching, if you like. I kind of pivoted during during the pandemic of that to tie in with my podcast. You see, it's very diverse, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
yes. And so yes, so with executives, it's often really about avoiding tunnel vision, because it can be so easy to just be, seeing the things that you're used to seeing, or not maybe getting as much information from the people around you, because in executive roles, people tend to be afraid to say things a lot of the time, right? So it's one of those things that it really helps them to expand their perspective and be able to make better decisions. Also, sometimes well-being, because often that goes on the back burner and it doesn't always, come back very easily to manage, these habits and patterns effectively, right? To be able to think clearly, we really have to have those well-being habits as well, right? And with the schedules and meetings, etc., as everybody was, getting pulled into so many Zoom meetings, started to feel that, I think, impact, right? And it's even more important to then get away from the screen. And it's something that I work on myself, to make sure that I move and make sure that, there's that time out to be outside and just let your mind wander, because executives don't get that very often, and yet that's what we need for creativity. That's what we need to really have these ideas that we need to fuel innovation and to solve some of the toughest issues. Often we can't be in front of the computer in a meeting, right? And so it's one of the things that just sometimes prodding someone in the right direction, right? Because we can get pulled into, I have executive clients that get pulled into watching Instagram before they go to bed, right? Or watching YouTube just to unplug.
Oh, all
And
right,
then
okay.
they get to bed late, and then don't get as much sleep as they need, etc. So we can all be prone to certain habits. So it's also a bit about performance coaching, to really be able to have their brain functioning as clearly as it can, and make some of these tough choices that they have to make on a daily basis often.
Yeah, no. It's really evils of social media and everything. It's not helpful, but that's what the 21st century has given us. So, it's something we have to actually accept as part of what's there. I mean, when I was probably, when I was born, if you like, and in the 70s, TV was the thing, and people were complaining about watching too much TV, but now it's too much social media, really, more other than TV, really. But there is a point. So anyway, let's move on to your company, Mindquest Global. Can you tell us more about what Mindquest Global does? I mean, I know you've got an about page and you think I had a look at it. But just in your own words, really.
So we have an affiliate of coaches globally to be able to support leaders with their perspective. So Mindquest is all about, perspective to me, to be able to expand beyond that tunnel vision that, we are often missing potential blind spots. And that's quite common for everyone to not see certain things. So it's really to be able to have that external thought partner, and to be able to discuss, the challenges, to discuss the goals, and explore how to best navigate those situations. And also, often it's the communication skills that, we help with as well, because we work with a lot of tech, finance, executives, engineering leaders, and sometimes they struggle to communicate well with a non-tech audience. And so when I say audience, it means within the company often, but also external stakeholders. And so we also help them with those kinds of challenges, and to make sure that they get their message across as clearly as possible, and to be effective in their communications, to make sure their team is engaged, because that's one of the things that I see so much, is that there's so much lost productivity and loss of talent because that engagement is missing due to poor management practices. So that's one of the key things that we really assist people with, and help them to engage their staff, so that they're getting 100% of what they're, what they're investing, because that disengagement costs a lot of money. And I think that that's often just not thought about and not invested in enough to change those behaviors that cost companies significantly. So that's what we're there for. And, it's something that we really love supporting executives and managers with, because we feel it makes a tremendous difference. It really improves quality of life for everyone. For them, it frees up time. It's sometimes a surprise that they're able to free up time. I've had leaders that I've worked with where they were, scarfing down their lunch as we were having a conversation because they just didn't have time.
They need time management, don't they?
Well,
Need
that's
to
the
learn to be
thing,
productive and everything else.
some of the skills, like the coaching skills, it helped them to delegate more effectively, so that then they actually were able to free up time for bigger picture things and to work on, to have an impact for the company, but also outside in their industry, not just the company. And that's one of the things that we see a lot, is executives getting caught in the weeds and not thinking big picture for that reason, because they're getting pulled left and right with, what's happening. So we try to pull them out of the weeds and into being able to see big picture and be more strategic, and, to not get caught up in those things.
Yeah. I know, it's fantastic. How long has your company been going for then?
It's been 11 years now. I
11
started
years,
in
wow.
Australia,
Oh,
and
yeah,
then
okay.
moved to Canada a few years ago. I had to move, unfortunately, because my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. So I moved from Australia at that time, just before the pandemic started. And then
so you had to stay there really, and
so I
you couldn't
stayed.
fly to and fro, could you really? With
No,
what was
not at
going on with the
all.
pandemic, yeah.
And I still had a place in Sydney all that time. I was still, actually in two homes for
Yeah.
quite a while. And then I finally went back and moved out a few years ago. So during that time, actually, my work really kept me on purpose, so I didn't really feel that impact of the pandemic in a way, because I was so focused on supporting others and just, going to the park, doing my yoga, staying sane.
Yeah.
Well,
I did a little
through
bit
all
of
of
breath
that.
work after my little jog. I've got to keep fit myself because the same as your mother, I've divided my time between Philippines and London, UK.
Is
Just
that
living
where
it.
you're from? From the Philippines?
No.
Oh,
I've
no.
got a wife and daughter from there, so
Oh,
I was
okay.
staying out
Beautiful
there.
place.
Yeah, it was my semi-retirement place. So,
Yeah, I
um,
actually work with a lot of clients that have a background from the Philippines.
oh,
We
really?
have,
Oh, there's a lot in Australia and New Zealand, actually, believe it or not. But
yeah.
unfortunately, just like your mother, I got dengue fever at first, and I thought it was COVID when the lockdown happened,
Oh
and
no.
couldn't really fly around, and there was all these checkpoints. You couldn't really get out, and I couldn't really stay in the hospital, and these platelets I had to have sorted out. So they said, go home and see how you feel with this or some medication. And then I went back to see the doctor and said, no, you've got to stay in the hospital. We'll try and find you a bed, because it was taken up by all the COVID cases, because it can kill you, dengue as well.
Yes. Yeah.
So I had to stay there. And then unfortunately, 6 months later, just like your mum, I got diagnosed with, well, they saw some prostate cancer, which
Oh, I'm sorry.
I finally got diagnosed with it, and with all the toing and froing, and I had to try and get out, and it was still like deep into, you know,
Mhm.
which countries, and Philippines was one of those real severe countries that you had to really stay in quarantine when you arrived in the UK and everything, it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then
I'm sure it was
get
not.
it all sorted. I mean, I'm in remission now, but, it's a case of which they do quite well here. So I'm back in the UK, just like you're staying in Canada. But just before that,
Did you catch it early?
not early, but
Not early.
not too late. So,
That's good. Yeah.
so
The same
I
with my mother. It
suppose,
was stage
yeah,
three already. I
sorry.
was just saying it was the same with my mother. It was last call, like stage 3 cancer. So they caught it just in time, not early, but just in time.
Yeah, so mine's about the same. Yeah, they call it something else, but it really equivalent to stage 3. Yeah, that's right, because it's outside the area as well. It starts spreading. So, but
Mm.
anyway, without changing the subject, I did pivot to personal coaching from personal training because of the lockdown and everything. Gyms were closing and my podcast exploded, so everything was online for me, and it made sense, really, you know. So, and then this came along, but it's a mindset thing. You see what I mean? It's a mindset to keep going and fight it, you know. So.
It is, and I think it's important to talk about these things, you know, because everybody can encounter this, right? It's such a common issue, and
it is common,
worked with leaders who felt they had to hide their diagnosis when they're struggling with something or going through chemo, especially in a senior role. Often they feel that they cannot share that because people are going to doubt their capabilities, etc.
Well, that's the thing,
it's important to especially, to be able to share and talk to people and to have a confidant, at least when you're going through tough health situations or anything else. I've supported some of my clients, through diabetes, etc., because they were, just so time poor that they were struggling to eat well, and
they have to, they have to.
And sometimes we just discover things like, having a large banana was causing the issue, right? The bananas had to be smaller. So, I think that's part of being human, and we're not always healthy.
Yeah. Well, that's a little bit in my area as well, but not the health too much side. But it is in a way, because if you have to keep fit as well, don't you? To beat these things as well, actually. So
and for example, I used to support Stanford University with their executive graduate program, and they incorporate health into their program. So when they have all these high level leaders coming from all over the world, early in the morning they're doing all kinds of activities, right? So it might be badminton or it might be yoga, and they said it's interesting seeing somebody that's never done a yoga pose trying to integrate this back into their life, or into a life where they just haven't had any of those opportunities.
Well, it's amazing that they're actually introducing it into more, into sports as well. Sports like football teams and tennis and things like that. And certainly meditation was used all the time, because that's part of getting psyched up and in the zone and everything. You use those same kind of things, but actually yoga is something as well that you use, because it's mind body as well, you see. So
that's right.
And firefighting as well. Actually, they're starting to get to fire stations. Sorry, go on a cut.
I was just going to say, I think that there's so many reasons to do it, right? And mobility is one of them. That because if we're just sitting in a chair constantly, there's going to be aches and pains. That's going to cause you to feel bad. That's going to cause you to behave in certain ways that aren't productive.
Even if you can't get off the chair, there's chair yoga as well. I mean, for people that have a disability, or have to sit somewhere, they can't move, then there's chair yoga, and stuff like that. If you're on a plane, you can walk around and get circulation going, but otherwise you can do stuff from the chair as well, can't you? So.
For sure. But I think that, just getting back to the mindset piece is just understanding how these things really impact on you, right? Really understanding yourself, I find, is so important, because I think it's really easy for people to think that they have to live like that. They have to live in pain. They're getting older, and that's just how it is. And it's not the case, right? It's all about the habits that we have, and creating those habits that support it. Part of it, that having that awareness of what supports us is so essential, to build in a bit of the accountability piece, to build those habits at the beginning. I'm sure that can be helpful to start to create those patterns that are more healthy. Because a person in pain tends to often be moody, right? And so that can come through at work, or someone that's highly stressed will behave differently as well. That's extremely important for the work that we do with executives and managers, that they don't their team.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're talking about work with executives and managers, or anyone really. How will anyone listening to this be able to contact you and find out more about the work you do? And
I think the easiest thing is just on LinkedIn, Kasia, Kasia, and the last name is spelled Gurgul. Feel free to reach out on LinkedIn, and my email is kasiamindquest@gmail.com. If you'd like to email, feel free to reach out. I do like hearing, if there's anything that resonated or anything that was insightful in the conversation. It would be great to hear from you.
Fantastic. Well, Kasia, it's been a really, really great, pleasurable, and a good, great conversation having with you, as well as talking about coaching and life in general as well. And I'm sure
thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm sure people will probably see the kind of true, genuine authenticity with that's an important area as well, isn't it? Really, with how we're speaking, and that we're all humans. Everything's real, and they need to really they need to have the work that we're talking about, really, I suppose. But
it's often it is the case that there's this managing perceptions thing that comes up for people as they mature, right, as a leader, and so it is often about just being able to be authentic and at the same time to be your best, and so that can be a work in progress a lot of the time to work out, to work out how to be authentic and at the same time, to be productive with how we are showing up.
Okay, well, Kasia, once again, thanks a lot for coming on the show. And
thank you, Dave. Much appreciated. And I hope that one day you can get back to the Philippines and have a great experience again. It's such a beautiful, I went to Palawan. I used to go there for work regularly.
Oh, right. Palawan. Yeah, that's a lot of celebrities there. Yeah. It's very nice. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks again.
Thanks. Have a great rest of your afternoon. Bye.
That's all for this episode. Thanks for listening, and remember, if you want to support what we do, then share, subscribe, and leave a review over on Apple Podcasts, or head over to my website, davepalmer.com, and click on Rate Show. Well, that's all for now, but I'll see you in the next episode of The Dave Palmer Show.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.